Hi, my name is Bhowmik Shah. I'm the CTO and co-founder at CyberNX, where we specialize in providing cybersecurity services to our clients. We're a group of professionals who have hands-on experience within the security industry. We've come together to build a company which offers a wide range of services which cover everything within cybersecurity, so we can help clients with proactive defense by helping them with strategy, with architecture, with monitoring, basically defense, detect and protect, right? And we, as I said, we're hands-on. We love to play around a lot with the tools that we use and that we offer to our clients. So today I'll be talking about Peregrine, which is what we call our SOC offering to our clients. Peregrine is built entirely on the Elastic Stack, and we specifically built it to cater to small and medium enterprises within the financial services sector, though we do have clients from other industries as well. So let's talk about what was the problem statement that our clients came to us with, and what were we really trying to solve for them, right? So as I mentioned, a lot of our clients are within the financial services sector, which means they're heavily regulated. They also get audited very frequently, and based on a lot of the conversations that we had with them, we distilled the requirements into five primary categories. So they wanted something which would help them achieve compliance with what the regulators were looking for. They also wanted to build the ability to detect threats within their environment with this offering. They needed something which was very easy to integrate with all the components within their environments. Again, the financial services sector has some very quirky integrations that happen. They have homegrown applications which are written in-house, which connect to exchanges. We're talking about equity trading desks, stock exchanges, lending firms, fund houses. So they have a very wide variety of integrations. All of them had to be uh, fit in within the environment to achieve effective monitoring. They needed something which was able to integrate logs which were not supported out of the box. So we had to have the ability to consume logs from anything that they built in-house and feed it into the monitoring system to be able to detect threats. They needed very comprehensive reporting capabilities. They were actually looking for audit support. So we had to interface with auditors as well whenever they were being audited to help identify whatever it was that they were looking for. And we also needed to have very quick turnaround times for reportings. And one underlying common theme across all of them was that they did not want to digress from what their core business functionality was, and they had no intention of building this security monitoring capability in-house. They did not have a team, they were not looking at building it. So they were looking at offloading it onto some capable service provider. So that is where we came in. So based on the conversations that we had with a lot of our clients, we sort of built a checklist of what we wanted from the solution that we wanted to implement. Now, the primary two areas that we were going to focus on were the platform and the team. From a platform perspective, we very quickly came up with a list of things that we absolutely wanted as a bare minimum in the platform. The first thing was that it had to be scalable. Since we were catering to the small and medium segment, we had clients which are fairly small, right up to clients which were reasonably large enough to be able to send logs. Plus, with the kind of services that they were offering, we anticipated a lot of ups and downs in the log volume that were going to come in into the SOC. We also needed the SOC to be adaptable. So, like I said, we were anticipating integrating a lot of different homegrown and in-house applications into the SOC. So either the SOC had to have the ability that the SOC platform needed to have the ability to consume and identify the most common log formats. If there was a specific log format that it was not able to identify, then it should give us the ability to build a parser where we were able to take that log, piece it together, and assign it to the specific key values, and be able to consume it. The next bit was isolation. Since we were offering this as a service to multiple clients, we needed to have the ability to ensure that logs from one environment don't get mixed up with another environment. Cross contamination was definitely not something that we were looking to deal with later on. And the next bit was reporting. Like I said, reporting was very, very important. Customization and reporting also was very important because different kinds of clients would require different kinds of reports. So a fund house would require a different report compared to say an equity trading desk, and an equity trading desk would require something very different to a lending house, right? So ease of reporting was critical, and the solution had to be future-proof. So what we meant by future-proof was that we needed it to showcase that it had been around for a while, it was going to stick around for a little while longer. In the rare eventuality that the platform is no longer around, we should have the capability of maintaining the platform until such time as we found a replacement or we decide to move out of the platform into something else. Now that summed up what we were looking for from the platform. The team was equally important in this case because of the sector that we were targeting. We needed a team which not only understood the technicalities of threat hunting and security monitoring, but they also understood the governance and compliance side. The primary requirement where they had to interact with auditors was very crucial, and without a good understanding of compliance standards like ISO 27001, PCI DSS, NIST, and local regulatory requirements, it would sort of be a half-baked solution that we went to the market with. Reporting was obviously time sensitive. The alerts had to be sent out to the clients very quickly. The team had to have the ability to identify what was a false positive, what is a false negative, and be able to send the alert out pretty much straight away. And we wanted something where the clients would be comfortable offloading their complete information security monitoring requirements. So this basically sums up what we were looking for after having conversations with a client. So let's look at how we went about implementing it and deciding what we wanted to use as a base platform. Right. So the first question was we eventually ended up with Elastic after trying out a lot of different platforms. But why did we end up with Elastic? So the first thing was we needed something which wasn't very complex to deploy and maintain. We did not want the maintenance of the platform to take away from the core functionality, which was threat hunting that we were looking for. So even though we have the capabilities around maintaining it, we sort of wanted to build it and then move on to threat hunting and security monitoring. In addition to that, we needed something which wasn't closed source. We needed something which gave us the ability to mold it, to customize it to what a specific client wanted. We did not want to be held to the release cycles of a closed source platform, right? The ability to integrate a lot of different other tools and applications as we wanted was also very important, which would help us extend the capabilities of the platform and, of course, build a better value proposition for our clients. And what sort of tipped the scales was the fact that most of the team had prior experience working with the Elastic stack. So we used Elastic at some point or the other in our careers, not specifically for security monitoring, but for general log monitoring, log consumption, and things around that. So all of this put together sort of tipped the scales in favor of Elastic. It also meant that we were able to build something similar to an MVP and ship it very quickly and roll out a beta version to the initial batch of our clients, right? But before we actually started onboarding clients, there were certain things that we had to keep in mind. So the design choices that we primarily looked at were what model did we want to go with, where did we want to host it, then where did we want to put the stack, and there was one specific feature that we really considered a lot over. So the first one was the easiest decision. Which model did we want to go with? So there's an open source version, there's a licensed version, and considering the fact that we were offering this as a service to clients, we wanted to be very sure about the kind of support that we were able to offer them. So even though we have the technical capabilities in-house, but in case we were ever faced with a very specific situation where we needed a quick turnaround time, we wanted the assurance that we were able to rely on the Elastic team in the backend. So licensed was the way to go for us. Once we picked up the licensed version, then we had to figure out whether we wanted to host it in the Elastic Cloud or we wanted to host it ourselves. The Elastic Cloud sort of became a bit of a limiting factor because of the sector that we were targeting. We needed to have a lot of control over how logs were sent into the Elastic stack, and we decided to go with a self-hosted model. Now within self-hosted, we had to figure out, do we want to put it in the public cloud or do we want to host it on-premise? And I'm going to cheat here a little bit and say that we went with on-prem, but we actually started off with the public cloud. I talk about that a little bit more in detail further on. So, but eventually at the moment, our stack is on an on-prem setup where we are hosting it on servers that are within our data center. And the last bit was whether we wanted to go with Endgame, which is an endpoint detection and response offering that Elastic acquired a while back. So when we started playing around with the idea of building a SOC, Endgame had been recently acquired by Elastic, and they were offering it in a couple of the higher licensed models. And we realized that the target audience that we were focusing on would already have some form of endpoint capabilities in place. Introducing something else in the equation would sort of confuse things, and we sort of wanted to keep our base offering very simple. So we decided that Endgame is something that we'll probably pick up at a later stage. But fortunately, now Elastic has integrated Endgame very well. Endgame, which is now known as Elastic XDR, is a standard feature across all versions. So whether you opt for the free version, which is the open source version, or you go for one of the licensed versions, you still get Endgame as a part of the offering. So this was our journey. Basically, to summarize, our journey was dependent on what level of support we wanted to assure our client that we were able to offer. Knowing our client preferences and requirements, what medium made sense for us to host our stack, where did we want to put it. So primarily this decision was focused around where can we get the best value for money and the maximum control over optimizing the stack, and what should our base offering be. Obviously, your journey is going to be different. It will depend on a variety of factors. Are you hosted primarily in the cloud or primarily on-prem? Or do you have a hybrid model? Who is going to be the end user of the output of the SOC? Is it going to be an internal team? Is it going to be your team itself? Or are you going to offer it as a service to other verticals within the business? So all of that will play in a large manner into figuring out what your eventual hosted solution will look like. So this basically sums up how we went about deciding which model and how to go about implementing it. But what did we learn at the end of it all? What was the output of the entire exercise? And at this stage, so we've just started this about a year back, so we're just a year old. So what are some of the challenges that we faced? So like I said, the very first setup that we had was in the public cloud. We started off by hosting it in AWS. We very quickly realized that it can get very expensive. Building a pricing value proposition becomes very tricky, especially for a smaller clientele. There's a tipping point that will come through, but that comes at scale. So until you get to that point, cloud tends to get very expensive. And if you're going to offer that as a service, it may not be viable for certain clients. Integrating certain kind of environments proved to be a challenge. So again, with the kind of the sector that we were working with, they had some very quirky integrations in place. They had MPLS links. They had a policy which refused connectivity with the cloud. They had certain air gap systems. Now, how do we actually ensure that we are able to consume logs from all of these areas and feed them into the SOC? So that integration became too time-consuming and challenging. And we also had a lot of limitations around how much tweaking and optimization we could do from a performance perspective. There's only so much that you can do when the underlying physical infrastructure is managed by somebody else. So, beyond a certain point, you really just have to bump up your instance and go to the next level, which again adds to your cost. So based on this, we very quickly moved to an on-prem setup. We realized that we now have a lot more flexibility over optimization. We have better control over costs. We also realized that we've introduced a layer which we hadn't factored for. So now we have to manage the hardware. Now we have to manage the physical side of things, where we had to look after switches, routers, firewalls. There's an entire set of security controls that we had to implement to ensure that we were compliant. We are ISO 27001 compliant. So we had to ensure that we have all the controls in place that are required for maintaining our compliance levels. And all of that required building a separate team and making sure that they were in charge of the environment. There are more moving parts now with the on-prem setup. So implementing security has started to become a little more complex now. Plus, as we start integrating with more spread out clients, geographically spread out clients, we sort of realize that we are consuming far more data. There's far more VPN tunnels that we have to manage. There are far more data center interactivities that we have to focus on. So again, a dedicated team is required for maintaining an on-prem setup. But we all of that is still under control. The bigger challenge came with building a certain level of maturity, right? Threat hunting skills are something that need to be developed over a period of time. It's not something that the team acquires overnight or within a week. Threat hunting specific to an environment takes even longer. We realized that a lot of our clients did not have a specific logging policy in place. There was no coherence around how they were logging. In some cases, they did not have audit logs enabled. In some cases, they did not have any logs enabled. So we sort of had to first assist our clients with figuring out how and what to log so that we have relevant information within the SOC. Then we realized that we started consuming a very large amount of logs in a very short period of time. So we realized that we had to do some activity to figure out what is actually relevant and what can be discarded. So we ended up doing threat modeling for our clients, identifying critical assets, figuring out what sort of controls had to be implemented around them. And this helped us figure out what logs we needed to consume. Again, this helped us substantially reduce the quantity of logs that were also flowing in. It also helped reduce our storage requirements. Now, with all of these custom interactions and integrations, we had to build specific parsers. Building parsers was something that we are familiar with, but we realized it was far more time consuming for these kind of applications than we imagined. The detection rules that come bundled with Elastic are fairly capable, but we wanted to build more enhanced capabilities around specific client environments. So building those detection rules, again, is taking a little longer than we anticipated. We're trying to integrate a lot of other tools also. We realize that a lot of our clients have tools like email gateways, or web application firewalls, or data leak prevention tools, or CASB solutions, all of that implemented within their environment. So now, how do we ensure 360-degree visibility? We have to consume logs from all of these places and be able to correlate all the data that is flowing in. So integration is taking far longer than we anticipated. We also have to figure out what is the correct integration framework for onboarding clients. We can't really spend weeks onboarding one client just because they have a huge variety of tools and applications within their environment. So we are working on building an integration framework where we are able to implement our base requirement within their environment in a few days, parallelly work on the logging assessments for them, and be able to identify what sort of logs do they need to enable so that we can start giving them actionable intelligence in a very short period of time, right? So that's the maturity journey that we're going through, both from a platform perspective where we figured out where the platform is a good fit for us. We'll probably reach a point where we may move back to the cloud, but at the moment on-prem is working out really well for us. And also challenges around building skills needed to support what the clients wanted. So over a period of time, we've become comfortable dealing with their auditors, with the regulators. We have a far more nuanced and better understanding of what the regulators will be asking for. So we are building custom reports around that. We are building custom dashboards around that. Again, that's a journey again. And we've sort of come to that point in just under a year, right? So how does it look right now? You know, how are we doing in a year of operations since we launched? So we currently have 15 customers who are sending data within our environment. These 15 customers together consume about 3 different platforms. By platforms, I mean public cloud, on-prem, private cloud. So there are 3 different platforms that they are hosted on. There's a total of about 1,900 devices sending log data within our environment. This does not include the platform-specific audit logs that we also consume. A case in point is CloudTrail logs from a platform like AWS. We consume on average about 5 billion logs a month. It varies. The maximum that we've consumed has been about 9 billion. This was pre-noise reduction, pre-threat modeling, where we realized that this is unviable, or we were just not able to focus on the priority items. So we sort of managed to reduce it to 5 billion. It varies, but 5 billion is what we've seen in average over the last 6 months. And we have a cluster that is 6 nodes at the moment. It's pretty much at its peak capacity. We're adding 2 more nodes very soon. But this is the layout at the moment. From kind of the logs that we're consuming at the moment, we have logs coming in from AWS. We have logs coming in from Azure. We also have logs coming in from a private cloud hosted on VMware. We consume Linux and Windows. We're very comfortable with that. Networking devices, a variety of networking devices, most popular Cisco, SonicWall, Sophos, Fortinet. We have different security tools, as I was talking about, privileged identity management tools, which send a lot of interesting data into the platform. We have antivirus and EDR solutions. We have web application firewalls, email gateways, web servers, standard IIS, Nginx, Apache, databases, SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, nothing too fancy over there. We have other applications which are very noisy. Squid, which is a proxy. We have Redis, key value stores. We have a DNS server. We have Active Directory, which sends a lot of interesting data. And what's missing in this list is the homegrown applications. So there's a variety of homegrown applications which sort of focus around loan origination, loan management, order management, all of that have custom logging, which we've helped them streamline, and we're consuming all of that as well. So this is where we stand. Let me show you some screenshots of how the SOC looks. One of the cool things about Elastic is the ability to build custom dashboards. Once we have the logs and they're passed into specific key value pairs, there's a lot of flexibility around what we can do with the data. And our team has really leveraged that. So this is a screenshot of a dashboard from an antivirus tool by Trend Micro that is used by one of our customers. So we sort of consume that data, and we've built dashboards which show us relevant information, which we can immediately pass on to the clients. So even though the clients have access to their own dashboard, they still rely heavily on the alerts that we send them on. Right? Here's a dashboard from the Squid proxy server that has been installed at pretty much every client's location. We pick up interesting information about who is accessing what, and are there any servers which are talking to places that they shouldn't be talking to? Are people trying to access content that they should not be accessing from within a data center environment? And you can see there's very, very colorful graphs that we have. Then we have web application access logs. So we can differentiate between GET requests, post requests. We're able to help clients identify certain misconfigurations in the web servers, which they're not aware of. We're also able to help them figure out different kinds of error code responses that the web server is sending out. This again helps them in optimizing their web applications. Yeah, and here's a dashboard where we're looking at data coming in. So inbound connections coming in from across the globe. Outbound connections, very useful in identifying potential command and control activity from compromised servers or compromised endpoints. Also very relevant for specific use cases of applications which are geographically restricted. So if an application is limited to a specific local area, and we suddenly see activity from that application or flowing into that application from another location, then we straight away flag that. We're also able to identify the split between the kind of protocol activity that we're seeing within a client environment. Moving on, here's an Azure dashboard. We're consuming logs from Azure, and we've built some visibility around what is happening within the environment. And we've got similar dashboards for AWS as well. Here is a dashboard for PowerShell activity. Now, this is very useful in identifying and showcasing to a client what sort of tools are being used within their environment. One of the handy features is that once the logs are passed and they're consumed, we have the ability to visualize the data in a very, how do I put it, in a very interesting manner, which shows us, okay, what is the spread of a specific version of an application? Which are the users who are actually using these kind of tools? Should they actually be even using, should they even have the ability to use these tools? Does somebody in the accounts team actually need access to run PowerShell scripts? Yes or no? That's something for the client to decide. But we're able to identify this kind of activity and send those alerts to them. We're able to identify registry changes. We're able to identify critical system file changes, not just on Windows, but on Linux as well. And we're able to send these out to clients in near real time. This helps clients to identify what is going wrong within their environment and react to it. All right. So to summarize, what have we learned so far? Building a SOC is difficult. It's not just a platform, but the team also that counts. Not having an efficient team in place means that all the data that is being put out by the SOC is not being consumed in the right manner. Building a SOC as a service is even more difficult than building a SOC. The platform, of course, like I said, the platform is as important as the team. Both need to complement each other. Things will happen. Things will go wrong. Logs may not flow. Rules will not work. Your machine learning will fail. Your team will miss alerts. Searching will be very slow. You have to be agile. You have to be in a position to be able to monitor your stack, to be able to identify and possibly preempt problems, fix things on the fly, and adapt as you go. Security monitoring is a lot of fun. Beyond the platform maintenance and the hardware maintenance, security monitoring is amazing, be interesting. So what's next for us? We're working on scaling the platform for larger environments. We've been approached by larger clients who are interested in what we're doing. They like the kind of focus that we're bringing to the sector. And so they want to trial it out for their environments, which are much larger than what we're looking at the moment. We want to build packages where we offer use cases which are specific to certain industries or clients or environments. We want to leverage machine learning in a far better manner. Elastic is making things very interesting by adding a lot more features. This effectively means that we are in a position to offer our services to a far wider audience, right? And the most interesting bit that we observed is that customers are slowly realizing the benefits that are coming out of monitoring, which is now being referred to as threat hunting by them. They now want even more visibility into their environment because they realize that it's not just security that we're able to help with, we're also able to help optimize their environment, right? So now we're in a position where everybody wants to consume all the logs and they want insights and inputs from everywhere, right? So the way forward is very interesting for us. We're very excited about it. And hopefully we'll be able to build a much larger platform catering to much larger sized environments. And that's it from me. Thank you.